Hello people of the internet, welcome back to my channel. I am so excited that you're here with me today. Today we're going to discuss all the books that I read in the month of September. Now, let me address the fact that this is mid-October when I am filming this, and so it is quite a bit late, but my life recently has just been a little bit overwhelming with my school life as well as my personal life. So just a lot of things have been going on behind the scenes. So yes, that is why this is late, but I'm sure that all of us have things going on in our lives. So let's just get into the books that I read in the month of September. So the first book that I read in the month of September was Hook, Line, and Sinker by Tessa Bailey. And if you're not aware, this is the second book in the Bellinger Sister series that Tessa Bailey has. The first book is titled It Happened One Summer, and in that one we follow Brendan and Piper, and we actually meet Fox and Hannah in that first book. But they just kind of start out as friends in that one. So Hannah is Piper's sister and Fox is Brendan's best friend. And so obviously they meet through them, and it's just so cool to see two characters that you saw in the first book get together in this one. And as far as their relationship goes, I did not believe the first book's relationship. I just could not get on board with it. They were just completely different from each other. But as far as this one, I could get on board with this one. They were super cute, they had so much in common, and their banter was so good. This whole series takes place in this little cute fishing town, and Fox and Brendan are crab fishermen. So every once in a while they're having to go out and go fishing and leave for days at a time. And so I just love that aspect of it. That's kind of why I continued with this series. But the main thing that I loved about it was, again, their chemistry together. I just thought that they matched so well and it was so believable. So again, in this one we're following our main characters, Fox and Hannah. And like I said, they started out as friends. And Hannah actually works in the entertainment industry. She works on movies. So she gets this big break where they can actually film the movie that they're working on in the small fishing town that her sister lives and Fox lives. And of course, from there, romance ensues. Again, this one was definitely my favorite of the two. I thought that Fox and Hannah had such good chemistry, such a good friendship first, and then a really good relationship. I did end up giving this one a solid 4 stars. And let me explain why. Tessa Bailey is kind of known for her steamy, spicy scenes throughout her romances. And when I pick up a romance, I'm kind of expecting that. But for me, this one just kind of overdid it a little bit. It almost felt forced because it wasn't like, okay, we have the building up and then we have this spicy scene and then we're done, which I'm fine with. With this one, I just felt like she kind of forced it a little bit because we spent a lot of time in the characters' heads, and so I wish we weren't in their heads as much as we were like going back and forth, which would have been so much better for me. I loved their banter with each other. I just thought it was so much fun, and if she would have had more of that, I feel like it would have been a solid 5. The next book that I read in the month of September was Behind Her Eyes by Sarah Pinborough. Now, September was kind of crazy for me because I was sick a lot in the month of September, and I actually had COVID when I was trying to read this, and so yeah, it was definitely an experience. Every review that you've heard about this one talks about the monumental twist in this one, and I was super skeptical going in because I was like, there's so much hype around this one that I hope it doesn't disappoint me. Basically, in this one, we're following our main character, Louise, and Louise is a single mom who is just trying to make her way through life. One night, she meets a striking young man and kisses him. Well, the next day she shows up at her new job and finds out that the man she kissed is also her boss. But this man is also married. Awkward. After Louise finds out that this man is married, she's like, okay, that was great while it lasted. She kind of backs off just a little bit, and one day she actually runs into his wife. And the wife and her kind of strike up a conversation, and the wife, Adele, invites her for coffee. And from there, they ensue a friendship. That's so weird. What's even more weird is that David, the love interest, finds himself still captivated by Louise and starts to see her. So not only is Louise friends with this wife, she's also seeing her husband. So it's just a whole messed up situation, okay? So this one was definitely a wild ride. The most wild part about it was that Adele, the wife, she knows that this snaking around is going on, and she's decided to take revenge. I gave this one a 4.5. And let me tell you, all the things that you hear about it are absolutely true. It was the wildest ride that I've been on in a long time. And I do think this one is worth picking up. I do think that it doesn't dwell on the cheating aspect as much, because I don't appreciate that in books, but it doesn't really dwell on that. It kind of more dwells on the craziness of this wife. And you're kind of like, what is going to go on with her? The reason that I docked half a star was actually the ending. I know that everybody talks about the monumental twist at the end, and let me tell you, it was a very monumental twist. I did not see it coming. It has never been done before, at least I've never read anything like it. And so for that, I do applaud Sarah Pembroke. Let me explain why the ending didn't quite work for me. So I'm going to try and say this without giving anything away. I like my twist in thrillers to be believable. And so just like I like my romances, I want my twists and my turns and thrillers to be something that could actually happen. If not, I want it to be done well. And whereas I do think she did this well, I just wanted something that could actually happen. That's a personal thing. I think that anybody who picks this book up would enjoy it. Just kind of go in knowing that it's gonna completely blow you away, because it's gonna be completely off the wall about what is going on here, and you're not going to guess what happens. I'm ready to talk about it. Yeah, so I've made it pretty clear on my channel that my favorite author of all time is Riley Sager. I've said that multiple times. I'm so sorry if you're tired of hearing that. This is his release that he came out with last year, and I knew going in that this one might not be it for me. So this book follows our main character, Charlie, and Charlie is a struggling college student who is just trying to find her way through this life. Aren't we all? But Charlie decides that she wants to leave college and she doesn't want to be there anymore, but she lives with her elderly grandmother who can't exactly drive up to her college just whenever and pick her up. So she decides that she's going to ask someone for a ride. And basically one day she's walking around campus and she meets this guy named Josh. They're just chatting and Charlie is telling him, hey, I want to leave college and I don't really have a ride. And Josh, being the gentleman that he is, offers her a ride. Do not get in the car with a random man that you just met. Please don't. Oh my goodness. Basically, Charlie gets in the car with this man that she just met, and they set off for home. And honestly, it did keep my attention because I just want you to look at the tabs. Okay, look at all the tabs that I made in this book. I mean, for something that wasn't my cup of tea, it looked like I enjoyed it. All of the dark red ones are actually times that I was freaked out. I don't know if you can see those really good. So, I mean, he did freak me out a little bit, and he did keep me on my toes with this one because it does move super fast. I will say that. It's a very fast-paced thriller. So if you're looking for one of those, this is a good one. But the execution at the end, how everything wrapped up, because he has you thinking that it's, oh, this is gonna end up badly, this is gonna go this way, or this is gonna go this way, and you're constantly questioning, like, what the heck is going on, what's gonna happen. This was the first thriller of my entire life that I guessed every single plot twist. And my friends, that's not a good thing. I do not like guessing plot twists. I love to be surprised. And especially if I'm gonna pick up a Sager, I want it to be like completely off the wall. And I guessed every single thing that happened in this book. Let me tell you, what a disappointment. I did end up giving it 3 stars because I was feeling generous, because it did keep me on my toes. It was very fast. And for that, I gave it those 3 stars. If I was to rate the ending of this book, it would definitely be a 1. I'm sorry. No one tell him, okay? I'm sorry. I'm so sorry if the angle's just a little bit off. My camera battery died and I had to adjust everything back, so hopefully it looks about the same. But the next book that I read in the month of September was Hidden Pictures by Jason Recolleck. And I briefly touched on this one in my fall TBR, so I'm going to kind of keep it brief. This one is following our main character, Mallory Quinn. And Mallory is kind of down on her luck because she has just gotten over a drug addiction, and she's searching for a job and finds a babysitting gig with Ted and Caroline. And Ted and Caroline have it all. They have a beautiful house, beautiful cars, beautiful land, and a 5-year-old boy named Teddy. And Mallory and Teddy hit it off right away. And Mallory notices that Teddy loves to draw. And of course, kids draw super innocent little drawings, and then Mallory starts to notice that his drawings are not so innocent anymore. And she tries to figure out what in the world is going on with Teddy. Let me show you one of the drawings that's in here. Okay, that's a good one. Yeah. So it turns a little bit sinister, and Mallory's trying to figure out what in the world is going on with this little boy. This was a 5 out of 5 throughout the whole book. And Jason Recolleck was a genius in putting these pictures in here. It just added that wonderful amount of creepiness to it, and I just loved it. And the ending to this one, beautiful. You need to pick this one up ASAP. The next book that I read in the month of September was Confessions by, I'm not going to try and pronounce this author's name because I just know I will not do it any good. So I apologize for that. Basically, this book opens up with a teacher kind of talking to her class, and the teacher is looking to leave the profession, and so she's kind of going through her life. And then as she goes along, she actually ends up telling the story of her little girl's murder. But as she unfolds this story, it kind of ends up that 2 of her students were responsible for her little girl's death, which was like, what? And she is actually seeking revenge on them. Now, that's all I'm going to tell you about this book, because I went into this one completely blind. And let me say this, I am not recommending you this book. because again, I went into this one pretty blind, and this, I don't know what it's classified as, but I would classify it as horror because there was just so many points in this book that I was super uncomfortable, and I feel like anybody would be super uncomfortable with it, but for me, from an educator's point of view, I found it extremely uncomfortable. Some of the things that this teacher did to get back at these students that had killed her little girl, I just didn't like it. It did not sit well with me, and again, I wish I wouldn't have gone into this one as blind as I did, because I would have never picked it up. I did end up finishing it, and I gave it 2 stars just because it was not at all what I thought it was going to be, and the ending was horrific. Like, I did not like this book, and if you're intrigued, just know that going in, it's extremely horrific, and it's definitely not a book that I'm recommending to you. I just wanted to let you know that I read it. The next book that I read in the month of September was actually an audiobook that I picked up, and that was Stuck With You by Ali Hazelwood. Everybody's favorite romance author is either Tessa Bailey or Emily Henry or some of the big ones. Not me. Ali Hazelwood is the #1 romance author, in my opinion. I just love her romances so much, and this was one of the novellas that she has out. I think there's 3 of them, don't quote me on that. Basically, all her novels and novellas have women in STEM in them, and I just love that. I love that so much, and I just love her banter as well. And I know I said that about Tessa Bailey, but for me, if a romance has good banter, then I'm going to enjoy it. So this one was super good in my opinion. Again, it is adult romance, so please expect some spiciness to it, but it was very good. So basically in this one, we're following our main character, Sadie, and like I said, Sadie is in STEM. I believe she's a scientist, if I can remember correctly, and her love interest is Eric. Honestly, this novella was nothing to write home about. It was just a good fun time. The audiobook was literally 3 hours, 3 or 4 hours long. So, I mean, it was just a good fun time. And the last book that I want to talk to you about that I read in the month of September was Daisy Darker by Alice Feeney. And holy cow, if you take any of these books that I talk about today by recommendation, please let it be this one. I have recommended this to so many of my friends, so many of my family members, and I am recommending it to you right now. You need to read this. So basically this one is following our main character, Daisy Darker, and Daisy Darker has a very dysfunctional family who does not get along. But Grandma is turning 80, and Grandma has just recently visited a fortune teller who unfortunately told her that she will not make it past her 80th birthday. So Grandma decides to call up all her dysfunctional relatives and kids and ask them to come to dinner with her to celebrate her birthday. So the night goes as well as expected, and they all go to bed, and at the end of the night they wake up to find Grandma dead on the floor. So at first they just kind of look at this as a incident. Oh, she was an old lady and she fell and hit her head. That is until they see the big poem that is behind Grandma's body. In that poem is listed the members of the family one by one, and they each have their own little sentence that is super creepy. I am just getting chills just thinking about it. For me, it was the creepiest part. It's just seeing their names in that poem. So obviously seeing that poem made them realize that this was not just an accident, that someone is actually out to get them. This story actually takes a pretty dark turn. It turns into a whodunit as well as a and then there were none. Bodies are dropping like flies. But the creepiest part for me of this entire book was after each death, it goes back to the big poem with their part of the poem, and it has their name crossed out. It's just so creepy. And the reason that I loved this book so much, again, I think this one is the thriller of the year, was the fact that this ending took me by surprise. I was not expecting this ending. And let me clarify, if you've read this book and you know the ending, it could have been done badly. Okay, this ending has been done, and I've seen it been done badly. Alice Feeney knows what she was doing. Oh my gosh, like the whole time you were, oh, it's this one, it's this one, it's this one, it's this one. I was not expecting what she turned around and did. It was so good. 5 out of 5. I definitely recommend this one. So there you have it, my friends. Those are all the books that I read in the month of September. I think I told around 7 books, which is just fine. Again, the month of September was a little bit crazy for me, but I appreciate you tuning in to watch, and I hope that you like this video and subscribe to my channel if you've not already, and I will see you in my next video.